All right. What is good? What is good, y'all? What is popping, everybody? Let me just make sure my sounds are correct. Let me make sure my levels are right. Is good, y'all. What is pop? We are Gucci. April Fool's Day, everybody. Yeah, April Fool's Day. I mean, we've all heard the actual reports about 50. Kind of reminded me of the last reports. If you guys remember, when 50 Cent had attended that one concert, or they said 50 Cent was at the same club as French Montana. Some reports had come out about a scuffle taking place between French Montana and 50 Cent. And now we all heard yesterday it was Tony Yayo's birthday party. We'll get into it all though, man. I just wanted to come on here for a live video this afternoon. Just give me a Just give everybody a second actually to log in. Before we get going, got a couple different things to talk about here, man. Got a couple different things here to talk about. But yeah, this kind of reminded me of that report that had come out about French Montana. You know, they had said 50 Cent and French Montana had got into it, and there was really never any truth brought to those rumors of, French Montana and 50 Cent. We didn't really ever hear too much about it, you know. So this kind of reminded me of that when I had heard the initial reports of an alleged 50 Cent robbery. I mean, the thing about it is 50 does have the new chain. You know what I mean? 50 has the new 50 Cent chain. He has, some of the best Cubans in the game. So obviously there's a lot of people looking at 50 Cent right now, but I don't think anybody would be in their right mind to try to cross the G Unit General 50 Cent, y'all, in that regard. So 50 actually had to respond to some of the reports because there were reports going on where and the shade room actually reached out to a few people. You know what I mean? The shade room reached out to a few people to get a little bit of clarification on it. You know what I mean? The shade room reached out to a few people to get a little bit of clarification on the whole incident. And I guess the DJ, they may have reached out to a DJ who was actually doing the 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 sets at the Atlantis nightclub, and he may have sent the shit to 50 Cent. Like, yo, Fifth, there's a lot of rumors sparking up about what might have happened to you at the club. People are trying to flip a narrative of 50 Cent got his chain snatched. So 50, sometimes they say, yo, 50 ain't going to see what you do. 50 Cent isn't going to notice what you do. 50 Cent, probably just like us, sees everything. So when he starts to see bullshit headlines bubbling, like that one headline about the guy who said, "Oh, I was there with 50 when he got hit 9 times," like that story got debunked within hours. You know what I mean? Within a day, that story got debunked. So I don't find any, you know what I mean? It's not funny to me. It's not, odd to me that 50 Cent actually responded to this situation. You know what I mean? But the news and the media likes to run wild with everything. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, the fact that 50 Cent has the new 50 Cent chain that we saw him pop up with at the Super Bowl. There's going to be a whole lot of speculation. You know what I mean? There's going to be a whole lot of speculation out there. And that's why when you got a reputable brand, though, like the Shade Room, who is now known for pretty much exposing all the truths. A lot of it's true. Maybe some of it's false. I don't really know. I don't follow the Shade Room too much. You know what I'm saying? But they really have expanded their horizon. It's not really, you know what I mean? It's not really just highly qualified. Says the shade room is just shading. Mars says, I can't see 50 ever getting robbed. Lions Den 50 ain't get robbed. Yeah, I don't think it's true either, man. Absolutely not. I mean, think it's true. 50's probably going to do an Instagram video with his chain on later if he hasn't already been filmed by paparazzi with his chain. You know what I mean? 50 is a celebrity that every time he goes to a restaurant in California to eat, there's going to be paparazzi out there taking pictures of what he's doing. 50 Cent he doesn't have to go and find publicity. Publicity, it finds him at this point. And now with all these reports going on, just like when the reports went on about French Montana and 50 Cent getting into a scuffle, everybody was on 50 Cent. Everybody was looking to 50 Cent. They were looking to French Montana. They wanted to comment. You know what I mean? So that's what TMZ is going to be asking 50 about. 50, have you heard all the reports about this? And 50's probably going to show his chain and he's going to laugh. Just like 50 actually addressed the Shade Room blog. You know what I'm saying? Just like he addressed them and had a statement for them to post. And 50 will do this from time to time. You know what I mean? He's actually commented on Queen Slip's posts. He's commented on a number of things, man. 50 Cent is like, very active on Instagram, you guys. He's extremely active on the gram. So I wanted to basically read 50 Cent's statement that he said in response to this alleged or this report, all the reports about the alleged robbery that 50 Cent was involved in. First of all, I don't really know how anybody would actually rob 50. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, like, how are you even getting around 50? I remember watching one of these interviews 50 did, where he did an interview in the streets, and it just seems like 50 always has people putting him in the next direction of the next place that he has to go. He runs on a very tight schedule, it seems, where he's going from A to B. But 50 had some shit to say about this, you guys. 50 said the Shade Room must have a slow news day today. Making up shit. You would have heard somebody got man down. You would have heard somebody got man down out there, fool. He said, I'm tapped in. I even got your little messages. SMH. I don't know what 50 means. Well, I guess 50 means the little messages of the Shade Room reaching out to people in regard to the incident. Now, that is just a typical thing. You know what I mean? When somebody knows somebody in a situation, you're going to reach out and you're going to ask what happened. You know what I mean? So that's just reporting in general. You know what I mean? You got to understand 50 Cent, if he were to be involved in a situation like getting robbed, if he were to be in a situation like this where he was getting tested on camera, it would be the biggest thing on the internet. It would be the absolute biggest thing on the internet. But 50 isn't like these other rappers that just, you know what I mean, that get tested on the camera, that, be in position where people are diamond testing them. You know what I mean? 50 doesn't really put himself in awkward situations like that. Marmar says, ain't nobody touching 50. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying. 50 moves with a group of people that are invested in his future alongside him. You know what I mean? In a lot of situations, a bodyguard or a manager will be invested in your future. You know what I mean? So if something bad happens to you, in regard to you saying something bad to the press that affects your whole career, a la the baby, you know what I mean? Or if you do something like what happened with Snoop Dogg, you know what I mean? If Snoop Dogg's bodyguard wasn't there, X, Y, and Z, so, and Snoop Dogg's bodyguard wouldn't have been taken care of. It's all about following a job. It's all about following a protocol. And I think 50 Cent, being still an active celebrity, he has all the people around him, all that extra money that we had to see 6ix9ine paying, for all that security. 50 Cent is going to continuously have the right people around him going forward. I mean, the guy's involved with BMF, the guy's involved with, you know what I mean, any other endeavor that he has. You know, he has a lot of different business endeavors that make him one of the most sought after people in the music industry, you know. But all this shit that happened, apparently it went down at Tony Yayo's birthday. I'm not sure exactly what is the exact date of Yayo's birthday. I guess this took place on the 31st. Not sure the exact date of Yayo's birthday. My bad. Yayo is my favorite in G Unit. For everybody just tuning in the first time, I'm your host, Mikey T, the movie star. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. A number of websites have actually reported about this, and they've been reporting more since 50 Cent actually responded. Why do I say that? Because this wasn't even a story at first. This was a brand looking to, you know what I mean, uncover a story. You know, they were reaching out. So 50 Cent kind of put them on blast. 50 Cent put him on blast. 50 posted this message. Hi, we're hearing that 50 Cent got robbed last night after attending the Atlantis. Can you confirm if that's true? Wow. So you just write somebody a message and say, hey, this guy got robbed. Can you confirm if that's true? Yo, man, I'm just confirm. Yo, so that's like if somebody, this guy like was like, yo, let me get an exclusive interview. I want my exclusive interview with the Shade Room, and I want to tell you about what went down at Atlantis last night. But instead of that, I guess this guy actually DM'd this 250 Cent. I guess he actually DM'd this 250 Cent. Um, oh, and they said, we can keep you anonymous. Oh, wow. So they even said we can keep you anonymous. First of all, if I'm Mikey T, the movie star, reporting what happened to 50 Cent in the nightclub, or like, let's use a different example, like that whole incident that happened with Diddy and Drake. If I'm reporting what happened to Diddy and Drake, you better damn well know I want my name in the write up. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, man. Shade Room is bigger than I ever was. You know what I mean? From the early days of my career, the interest level in hip hop, or the not hip hop, but the way that hip hop grew as a corporate, you know, industry. You know, it made way for all of these different blogs to grow so rapidly, like your complexes really, you know, leading the charge. And then you got all these independent brands like your Shade Rooms and your academics just blowing up. Adam 22s, Vlad led the charge as well. You know what I mean? I'm still on my independent shit. Marmar says you can't even get close to him like that. I saw when I was at Barcode. Now, now you see all of what the Shade Room was doing, getting their reports together. You know, 50 Cent, like, he should kind of understand that. You know what I mean? Like, if 50 Cent was kind of in the power of the dollar stage of his career, I'm sure he would have even done an interview, unlike, let's say, Mimo 600. You know what I mean? All the chain snatching allegations against Mimo 600 right now. If 50 was still at his point of the career when he was in Power of the Dollar, and there was a name brand like the Shade Room out there reporting this, I'm sure 50 Cent would go and do an interview with them. Why hasn't Mimo 600 done an interview? Why hasn't the Shade Room reached out to do an interview with Mimo 600 like they reached out to do an interview with 6ix9ine, or 6ix9ine reached out to them? You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we'll see Mimo 600 on DJ Academics' platform in the near future, though. I'm pretty sure of that. Now, 50 Cent at this point does not need a platform like that. 50 Cent just goes on here and changes the whole narrative with one message. He doesn't need to appear in a video. He does not need to appear in a video for 15 minutes any longer to flip the narrative, you guys. 50 Cent at one point was on Cocaine City. He was on French Montana's platform. He was doing interviews with the underground, you know, people on the rise, you know. But after BET, after TRL and Rap City, and you know what I mean, all these different shows, uh, The Fix, after all these shows kind of left, a lot of the artists stopped doing interviews because they really didn't consider a lot of the brands to be reputable. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Drake does now. Drake doesn't even need to do interviews now. He just lets his word of mouth go out there a little bit. So 50 responded kind of harsh, you know what I mean, saying that it must have been a slow news day today. Now, let me just say, in regard to it being a slow news day, if you ever get news of 50 Cent being involved in a scuffle, if 50 Cent being involved in an argument, 50 Cent getting robbed, that would be the big all these stories are they are bigger than your average big stories. So for 50 to be like, "Oh, they're searching for a 50 Cent story because it's a slow news day." No, that's you're reaching right there, man, because you can have the most poppin' news of the day, of the week, and then some of this 50 Cent news comes in and it's just as big as that, no matter what. You can have your biggest news story and then a story about 50 Cent comes in and it's just as big. So just because people are searching for a 50 Cent story, it does not mean it is a slow news day. Like, so let me just pull that apart right there. Number one. Highly qualified says it's chain snatching season. Well, I guess you're saying that because it's no longer winter. It's getting into that time where it's about to be spring in about a month. Everybody's about to be outside. I'm sure the music video scene is going to be going crazy. The premieres are going to be going crazy, man. I look forward to this summer, but I do hope everybody has a manner of respect. You know what I mean? Hope people have a manner of respect when it comes to what people are doing in the music industry or what people are doing for work in general, you know? Yeah, man. Imagine if we got that new Cameron movie. Vado had told me he was going to be a part of it so many years ago. Highly qualified. I haven't really read into that too much, but I saw a headline about, the Chronic. Obviously, I saw that headline. I had heard some reports, and obviously we've heard in Dre's music about him wanting ownership over what is his and shit like that. I'll read into that a little bit and we'll see actually what's going on with that. Because of the fact of how the Chronic album, it makes the Death Row catalog that much more important. You know what I'm saying? It's already springtime. Doesn't feel like it, bro. Does not feel like it's springtime yet, man. Still cold as hell out here. Apex, what's popping with you, bro? Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Rick Ross did this interview where he went back in on 50 Cent, but only because he was asked. It wasn't like Ross brought up 50. He only touched on it because he was asked. Now, Ross had said, I can only rap beef. He said, I only rap beef with people with more money than me. He said, 50 doesn't call me out anymore. Rose called him out like he's alluding to the past. Ross is very clear. In the past, it was not 50 Cent who called him out in the first place. We know 50's history. 50's history in the game has actually been calling out the artist. He called out Ja Rule. He called out everybody on how to rob. You know what I'm saying? 50 called out Fat Joe and Jadakiss for working with Ja Rule. You know what I'm saying? He called out Shine for not signing with G Unit. All these different circumstances. He called out Nas for associating himself with Ja and Ashanti and Irv Gotti. You know what I mean? To give the label life. That's why 50 went at Nas, you guys, because Nas tried to breathe life into Murder Inc. During The Last Temptation, Nas actually featured on The Pledge. Nas was almost about to sign with Murder Inc. back then, from what I had heard. You know what I'm saying? He was almost going to sign with Murder Inc. at that point. So Shine was almost going to sign with Murder Inc. Irv Gotti was circling both of those artists. he really could have made Murder Inc. a major entity if he had followed that direction. Shout out to Cadillac Ta. I was actually on a Clubhouse stream with Cadillac Ta last night. I was actually on a Clubhouse stream with Cadillac Ta last night, you guys. He has a new joint out called Crime Boss 2. 50 is burning a lot of bridges, y'all. Well, 50, what do you mean? The bridge of the Shade Room? I don't think 50, just putting out this message to the Shade Room burns a bridge. If 50 was ever open to do some work with the Shade Room, and as the Shade Room continues to grow, it's, going to become really major in just the industry, never mind just hip hop, but the entertainment industry in general. I could see them doing some shit together, man. So, 50 could use this as an opportunity to for promotion. Look at the Shade Room's numbers. Imagine running a trailer on the Shade Room. I'm just saying, the fact that 50 Cent put this in perspective, or, put the reports on blast that he got robbed, sort of like those reports that French Montana and him got in a scuffle before. There's always some BS reports out there about 50 Cent, you guys. But I'm going to speak up for the bloggers out there, and I'm going to speak up for the Shade Room, and I'm going to speak up, for all of us that do this, that just because we report on 50 Cent, it does not mean it was a slow news day. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of out the window on that type of shit. Maybe if this was Power of the Dollar 50 Cent, maybe if this was Columbia Records 50 Cent, but no, 50 has arguably turned himself into the biggest artist of the new era. 50 arguably turned himself into the biggest artist since Pac and Big. You know what I'm saying? On a commercial level, though. You know what I mean? That commercial level that, Pac and Big didn't reach, to where they just let everything that they were doing be cultivated into the industry, which they were on their way to doing. They were really going to be the two big ones like that. Imagine that shit, you guys. Big and Pac would have been taking over everything. They were so young, both of them. You know what I mean? Like, the industry was right there in front of them. And, appreciate you, Apex. Appreciate you, man. Well, so 50 said in response to all the rumors, uh, 50 said, the Shade Room must have a slow news day today, making up shit. You would have heard somebody got man down out there, fool. I'm tapping in. I even got your little messages. SMH. 50 Cent quite upset about this whole episode. Shit. Who wouldn't be a little ticked off if they had heard that they were involved in a chain snatching, or getting one of your Frank Mueller watches taken off your wrists? Who wouldn't be a little bit ticked off? You know what I mean? 50 isn't of this new crop of artists, you know what I mean, who we seemingly get another story every single week. 50 is from the old crew. 50 is from he's from the era right after the golden era of hip hop. He had the last artists in the game that we saw worked properly. You know what I mean? The way he put out all of his shit, from the G Unit albums to their solo projects. Those were the last records that we saw worked in that manner. Now everything's flipped, everything's changed. Everything really has changed in the game, to be honest with you guys. But hold on one second. So so Ross Ross clarified. He had said 50 Cent doesn't call me out anymore. The guys, the Nelk boys, they were just asking about a past situation. That's one of the most main things Rick Ross is known for, his past beef with 50 Cent. I think we can all agree with that. But Ross, interesting enough, Ross pointed it out to them. Rose called him out, and I made sure he understood how Rose got down. And I made him understand it was sure how Rose got down. Shit, the first thing that Ross actually said to 50 was, he was like, yo, He was like, I will sign any of the ex G Unit artists for $100,000. Any of the ex G Unit members that had issues, Ross said he would sign them for 100 G's, you guys. So Ross was really just, ready to get down. You know what I mean? He actually linked up with Bangum Smurf and Domination and Dice. You know what I mean? I think he was looking for more. So actually, who else could he have really been looking for? Who else could Ross have really been looking for to sign for 100 G's? I don't think any of the core members like Yayo, Banks, Buck, they're not signing for no 100 G's. That almost doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That almost doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm putting up a poll, you guys. I'm putting up a poll, you guys. I want y'all to vote in this poll. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. There's a lot of speculation going on, or 50 Cent actually addressed the speculation. He addressed the reports, and 50 said, "No, it didn't happen. If you heard about somebody going for my shit, you would have heard about it a lot more." You know what I'm saying? Basically, is what 50 said. But I put up a poll, you guys. I want to know which label had the better run. I meant to add run. Which label was better, or which label had the better run? Was it Maybach Music Group, or was it G Unit Records? I want to know what you all think in the chat. Now, Rick Ross basically put it out there for the Nelk boys that he started this beef with 50 Cent. He put it out there plain and simple. He started the beef with 50 Cent. He actually is the one who called 50 out. He called 50 out. Called Floyd Mayweather out as well. You know what I mean? But the thing of that's interesting is that 50 pretty much started every other rap beef. I know 50 had this thing where he said that he was responding to everybody. Like he responded to what Ja Rule did. He responded to Fat Joe and Jadakiss helping Ja Rule out. But 50 Cent is pretty much the guy who provoked all the rap beefs aside from this one. But then when 50 started beefing with Ross, he even provoked more rap beef. He dissed DJ Khaled. You know what I mean? He started to diss Diddy. He started showing that he was dissing Diddy. He started dissing French Montana. So it really opened him up to so many other rap beefs as well. Yeah. Mafia music. Yep. Pert Gambit, what's popping, man? Appreciate you for tapping in. He says G Unit easy. G Unit easy. Well, right now the poll is actually being led by G Unit. Edward Nolden says 50 Cent and G Unit was the better label and better music to me. Well, I mean, if we examine it, which label put out more projects? I mean, with Self-Made, we've got what, 3 Self-Mades, or was it 4? So we got 3 Self-Mades. We've got what, 5 albums from Meek Mill. So that's 8 right there. We've got 4 albums, another 4 albums from Wale. We got an album from Gunplay. We got an album from Stolly. You know what I mean? Like Maybach Music, I think, has more projects released than G Unit. GB says G Unit, hands down. Hands down, G Unit. I'm kind of wondering why I didn't get the invite to this Tony Yayo birthday party. I'm just kind of wondering why I didn't get the invite, to be 100% honest with you guys. You know what I mean? Apparently, the party was at a spot called Atlantis. Apparently, it was at a spot and it called Atlantis, you guys, which it sounds like a cool spot. So I'm just kind of wondering why I didn't get the invite, but it is what it is, man. Machiavelli, that was actually Gunplay's chain that ended up in the hands of 50 Cent for what was that song? Wasn't it 50 Cent, Young Jeezy, and Snoop Dogg? I really can't remember the name of the song. Apex said Gunplay and Stolly don't count. Well, Stolly actually got to put out the album, man. You got to give him some props for actually being able to get the album out. They had the Ohio album out from Stolly. So I got to give him. GB says those album didn't have the impact that G Unit had. Well, yeah, you're right. You're right to a certain extent because the game actually came out and moved 500,000 first week. Young Buck came out with a major single. You know what I mean? That's easily comparable to whatever singles all those guys released. You know what I mean? You could arguably compare Shorty Wanna Ride to whatever singles Meek Mill and Wale released. Arguably. You know what I mean? Just take yourself back to that time, that point in period of time. You know what I'm saying? Young Buck was going crazy. You could tell the major difference. What his second single didn't do anything. He had a song called Get Buck. Well, Tony Yayo's album, The Thoughts of a Predicate Felon, actually moved more units. It actually moved more units than almost any MMG album. You know what I mean? Besides two of Meek's that moved 250,000 first week. Tony Yayo's Thoughts of a Predicate Felon album actually moved as much as Rick Ross's top selling album, God Forgives I Don't. You know, I think they moved right around the same amount of units. So let's be 100% real, man. Let's talk reality here, man. Easy Money's in the building. Appreciate you for tapping in, man, and vote in the poll if you haven't. I want to know who had the better run. Was it Maybach Music Group, Double MG, or was it G Unit? G Unit. No, I highly doubt that, man. A lot of people can name. A lot of people can name the G Unit albums, man. Easy says, you know, I voted G Unit. You know, I voted G Unit. Adam Knight says Maybach Music, G Unit as a brand is strong because of 50 Cent's association, but music wise, it was meh. Hey, that's a good point, Adam. That's a really good point right there. You know, the fact that 50 Cent, like, let's be real, you guys, the fact that 50 Cent actually associated himself with each of the artists when they all released their project, that's something that he himself said that he wanted to fall back from. You know what I mean? Because he felt like he was, you know, spoon feeding him a little bit with that. Apex says So Seductive was huge. Yeah, Apex. They actually messed that up for my guy Yayo. You know, the birthday boy. I guess we could call Yayo the birthday boy. Go Yayo, it's your birthday. Go Yayo, it's your birthday. You gonna party like it's your birthday? Yayo gonna party like it's his birthday. Go Yayo. Sorry, I had to do that for my man Yayo. I didn't get the invite for the party, so I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to, you know, raise the roof in the club with the AO a little bit. It is what it is. But yeah, So Seductive was a major single, but the fact that they pushed the album back is what wiped out all the chance it had of selling a good amount of units. Yayo at one point wanted to sell 700,000 units. You know what I'm saying? Yayo wanted to sell 700,000 units at one point in the first week. He actually ended up only selling 216,000 units. Um, Big Mike, Big Mike says G Unit all and every day over Maybach. Trey Jean, Tejan Folk says G Unit. I voted for G Unit. Yeah, everybody vote right now in the poll if you haven't. Right now, it's actually 62% for G Unit and 38% for Double MG Maybach Music. Machiavelli says Maybach is still making music. Where is G Unit? Well, we saw 50. He had a couple recent signings. You know what I mean? Let's not discredit Uncle Murda. He did some work with Kid Kid. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't really look like they're getting ready to put out albums with G Unit. He actually started doing some work with some younger dudes from Queens. But yeah, I see what you're saying because Double MG still actually has, Meek Mill attached. Uh Wale, I want to say. I think MMG was attached to both of their last albums. Um Oh shit, GB says, I wonder if it was a surprise party because this is the first I'm hearing of it. Yayo's brother, yes, is my guy. He lives down here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I speak with him frequently. Yeah, well, they said it was at Atlantis, man. They said it was at Atlantis. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really too sure about that club. I'm not sure where the club is actually, to be 100% honest with you guys. I'm not sure if it's in Atlanta or if it's in New York or shit, if it's in the Carolinas. I'm not too sure where the club is, you guys. I just saw the name Club Atlantis. I'm like, damn, that shit must have been lit. I don't really know when Yayo's birthday is. I was about to look that up, but I'm not really like a groupie for yeah, he is my favorite in G Unit, but I'm not trying to go look up his you know what I'm saying, his date of birth and shit like that. Highly qualified says G Unit will go down as a legendary group. Yeah, I'm saying G Unit has the best group album of all time. And when I say which album I'm talking about, it's obviously Beg for Mercy. I'm going and saying that is the best track for track, the best track for yo, GB. 50 already addressed this, GB. 50 already said the shit is absolutely not true. Peasy, what's popping, man? Appreciate you for tapping in, my brother. Ed says G Unit first coming out had the hardest look of a roster. Too bad the game didn't stay with the group though. But yo, Ed, they even had a really Edward Norton. Oh, sorry, Edward Nolden. Um, they actually, still had a really good roster even when they did that Vibe magazine album cover or magazine cover shoot. And they had all the guys there. They had 50, Banks, Buck, they had Spider Lope, they had MOP, they had Mob Deep, they had Olivia, they had Hot Rod. The whole clique was together. 50 still had a strong, group of artists, but in all honesty, man, you're right. When the game left the group and then the game started taking shots at the group to make sure that all the other artists were like ridiculed on track, like shit just started going down for them, man. Uh uh TF says G Unit is the best group ever. Well, right now, G Unit is leading in the polls, you guys. Right now, G Unit is leading in the polls. If you want to affect the polling, you can vote right now. Vote in the poll, G Unit or MMG. I want to know what you guys all think in the poll, man. Everybody vote now. Everybody can vote in the poll right now. Yo, what's poppin', Elijah? Appreciate you for tapping in, bro. Ooh, highly qualified. I like that, bro. Except, no, what are you saying, bro? Because Meek Mill and Wale are obviously NBA caliber type artists. You know what I mean? They're like number one draft pick type artists, Meek Mill and Wale. And in all honesty, I don't think anybody from the G Unit roster really compares. You know what I mean? I would have to put Meek against Game. Meek far outweighs Game now. Wale against Banks. Wale outweighs Banks now. You know what I'm saying? Young Buck. Who do we got to go up against Young Buck from MMG. Ooh, Andre points out a big fact. The fact that G Unit was actually doing touring in both Europe, Asia, you know what I mean, Australia. G Unit was doing touring in so many different markets, Africa, that they still take advantage of to this date. I mean, I don't know if you guys haven't seen it, but Lloyd Banks has done several blogs with Who Kid and Yayo that they were all traveling all over, the United States, into Mexico, all these different parts of the world, man. 33 Squirt says, "Come on, Mikey, there is no comparison." Well, I just adequately compared it, man. I legitimately adequately compared the 50 Cent G Unit roster and Rick Ross's MMG roster, man. I'm just being real. I'm just being real with you guys, man. But y'all can vote. Y'all can vote right now. Everybody can vote in the poll right now. Steven, what's popping, man? Had to come on and talk about this. Big Mike, Wale. Here, let me tell you when Wale dropped his last album, bro. Wale dropped his last album in 2021. Yeah, he dropped his last album in 2021, bro. Machiavelli says, "Is the TV show's 50 doing making more money than Wingstop?" Well, Ross has a lot of Wingstops, bro. Ross has a lot of Wingstops, so many that he really never says the exact amount, but he's talking about it like he has a couple dozen Wingstops, man. I really don't understand how he's keeping track of all that business. I mean, I guess you can put people in position to keep track of it. You know what I mean? And shit, somebody will keep track of 30 Wingstop restaurants in one filing cabinet. Somebody's probably that intelligent to do it, So, but 50 Cent, you know, the television deals that he's doing, they're big deals, man. But the fact that Rick Ross could probably start a Wingstop, get it moving, get it successful, and then sell it off for over $1 million after investing in it for 300,000 or whatever, because he gave a number around 350,000. So he invests in 30 Wingstops and then he sells them off once they're buzzing. That's a lot of money too. But shit, now we're talking about look at what happened. Some TV shows become worth $1 billion. You know what I mean? The rights for Power, the ownership of BMF. These shows could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars when 50 Cent is done. Another show I like right now, you guys, is Bel Air. I'm wondering, that's it. The 10th episode, that's going to be their season. I noticed BMF only did 8 episode seasons. Gator Boy says 50 has got 5 shows. He's got a number of shows, man. He's always in tune with how to develop a spinoff as well. You know what I mean? He knows how to develop a spinoff. I see that they're filming BMF season 2 as well. He's turned Little Meech into a star. So if anybody wants to say who is 50 turning into a star this day and age, Little Meech. He made Little Meech a star, you guys. Little Meech goes on his IG live nowadays and he has 3 or 4,000, 5,000 people watching him on the gram. It was never like that before. 50 Cent definitely made Little Meech a star. Like how 50's been trying to get into boxing and that type of shit, making athletes into stars or whatever, however you want to phrase it. He certainly made this guy a major actor. I can't wait to see what Lil Meech does next. You know what I mean? Aside from BMF season 2. Bel Air is dope. Hell yeah, man. I just watched episodes 9 and 10 this morning, actually. Then I saw, this news about 50 responding to an alleged chain snatch. And they're always talking about 50 getting in a fight or 50 getting his chain. No, they don't really talk about 50 getting his chain snatched besides that one time in Angola. You know what I mean? Where the video, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They don't really talk about it too much because not many people will really try to attempt some shit on 50 Cent. You know what I mean? Unless it's a member of his group dissing him on track. That's usually the only time that we'll hear somebody go at 50 Cent. Or like, in Fat Joe's case, Jadakiss's case, 50 Cent pushed them. 50 Cent pushed them to go. Fat Joe didn't want to make no diss track. Fat Joe didn't want to make my fofo. You know what I mean? As much as the fans wanted him to make it, we're like, yo, Fat Joe, man, this dude is dissing you. Fat Joe, we need a response. Fat Joe, like, you could just tell back then he did not want to release that shit. 50 pushed him to it. Jadakiss was ready for it, man. Jadakiss. 50 getting anything, Elijah. You know what I mean? Like they had said, 50 Cent and French Montana got into it last year, or not last year, but a few years back before all the pandemic and shit. And it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You know what I mean? 50 Cent is too busy getting to the money, man. Let me see. Well, 50 wasn't really rapping anymore after going after Ross anyways, man, to be honest with you. Unless that was right around the time when he unless that was right around the time that he released the Before I Self-Destruct, but you know. But like Ross said, said in this interview that Ross said Rose called him out, and I made sure he understood how Rose got down. After that, it was clear. Rose's shoes have never got stepped on. Yeah, that's pretty much the only beef I ever remember Rick Ross getting involved with. I mean, unless you want to consider what was going on with him and Trick Daddy, which I don't really consider. So Ross continued. He said, over 15 years in the game, no one has ever stepped on those. Then Ross was like, you assumed 50 was on my level. Like, wow. So Ross is just going around like getting pissed off at people for assuming that Rick Ross and 50 are on the same level. Well, newsflash, man. A lot of people consider 50 Cent to be levels ahead of Rick Ross. You know what I mean? So, that's just kind of like odd. But I guess everybody in their own mind is supposed to believe that they're number one and shit like that. Gator, man. I don't know. I'll have to say, Gator says Ross's music just ain't there no more. But if we talking label, 50 got it. Ross's music hasn't been there for a few years now, in my opinion. Probably since the what was it called, Better You Than Me or something. What was it called? What was his? I think that was his real last album that I was into. I think. Let me get the actual title. Oh, Rather You Than Me. You know what I'm saying? Rather You Than Me. And that was in 2017. But let's be honest. 50 Cent, his music career has been over since 2007. Like in reality, since the Curtis album came out, I was pretty much done with 50 as a musician. Now, let me see. What was the year on Before I Self-Destruct? It probably had to be 2009. He wanted to keep it going. 50 wanted to keep it going, with his 2-year strategy, because he released Get Rich 03, The Massacre 05, Curtis 07, and then Before I Self-Destruct 09. It was over, you guys. It was absolutely over for 50 Cent. He went from selling 650,000 copies or 690,000 copies to 150,000 copies in a week. It was over for 50 at that point, you guys. And he must have knew it because he didn't release another solo album for 5 years, you guys. It took 5 years for 50 Cent to release the Animal Ambition album. And 50 gave us all a very, very good lesson on that Animal Ambition album. Bro, Curtis was yo, so I said it the other night or a few nights ago when, Young Buck and Banks dropped their albums selling 400 plus thousand and 260,000 units, and their second album came out and sold 150,000, that must have been a huge reality check. Like, yo, this sucks. I went from selling 260,000 first week to 150. Banks, like, I went from selling 450,000 first week to 150. That is terrible. Just imagine how 50 must have felt going from selling 1.1 on the Massacre, 690,000 on Curtis, which is like, all right, maybe that just happened because Kanye dropped his album on the same date. But then 2 years after that, Before I Self-Destruct sells 160,000 first week. Can you imagine the shock that must have came before 50 Cent? That's why he didn't release another album for 5 years, you guys. Animal Ambition. Animal Ambition only moved 50,000 units first week. Apex, what album are you on, bro? What album are you on, Apex? You got to be on the Before I Self-Destruct album, right? Yeah, 50 went back to the basics and actually released some mixtapes. Okay, you're on Curtis. I want to know, what track are you featured on from Curtis, man? I gotta know. I gotta know, man. So we got track 1, we got My Gun Go Off. Oh shit. Apex. Apex produced the hottest song. Apex produced the hottest song on Curtis. This is actually an honor, man. What? Apex, hit my DM, bro. You got to be on the next stream. War Angel, yeah, Forever King and War Angel, both mixtapes released in 2009. Maybe he could have actually released those in 2008. You know what I mean? To actually get a better consistency for his material. Apex is in the live that produced I Get Money. What? What? You got to be kidding me right now. I am in awe. I am in awe right now, bro. I appreciate you for being in here, man. You saved the Curtis album. If it wasn't for you, Curtis would not have sold 690,000 units first week. 50 had songs on that album that just tanked one after another. He had Amusement Park. He went a little bit different on this one. Instead of releasing the fast-paced joint like with Disco Inferno and then the slow-paced Candy Shop, he started it off. Candy Shop did so well, he decided to start it off with Amusement Park. He just totally flipped from the Get Rich or Die Trying album to where he put out the Girl track third to now he started off with the Girl track. And then he went into the fast-paced Straight to the Bank. Both of those records were not working. Both of those records were not working, you guys. So is that when he came out with I Get Money? Yep, he came out with I Get Money. He started feeling himself. I Get Money dropped in the end of June 2007. He started feeling himself. And then he released AO Technology, which was just another flop. Man Down was cool. Man Down was cool. But listening to it today, actually, some of the lyrics on it were just weird. He's like, they say you're going to send me to purgatory. It's like, what? I'm not purgatory. What the hell are you saying, Curtis? Will you just rap some real shit? Highly Qualified says the Curtis album was a good album. Let me see. We got My Gun Go Off, which was throwaway. Man Down, which was cool. About as good as Tony Yayo's Homicide record, I'll have to say. I'll Still Kill with Akon was great. I mean, it's no Somebody's Gonna Die Tonight, I'll tell you that much, but it really wasn't in the same vein. I Get Money was great. Best song, as I said, on the track, on the album. Everybody looks at that as the song that saved the album. He had Come and Go with Dr. Dre, which to me, Come and Go was just as bad as the original Out of Control from the Massacre. I love the Out of Control remix, but the first Out of Control was bad. Come and Go was like just as almost throwaway as that. It's like, so you have Dr. Dre on this shit and it's nothing. AO Technology was just like a really bad blend of him and Justin Timberlake. Same thing would Follow My Lead. Moving On Up was extremely corny. Straight to the Bank would have been great if they had a better hook. Amusement Park was like Candy Shop 3.0. You know what I mean? It was like, we don't really need that. Fully Loaded Clip was boring. Peep Show was a little bit weird with Eminem. I really didn't like any of his follow-up Eminem records since Patiently Waiting. Like, he had Patiently Waiting, Gatman and Robin I wasn't into, and Peep Show I was not into either. I really don't understand why he turned all of his Eminem records into comedy tracks. Fire with Young Buck was a major letdown. You know, I really liked Buck's hook on that, where he'd say, I remember it to this day and age. You know what I mean? I'm going to take these bricks and break them down. I'm going to take these bricks and break them down. Remember that shit, you guys? I really like that. But Nicole Scherzinger kind of let me down on that. That was another Interscope move. Interscope actually wanted her to blow up. I'm surprised they didn't sign Nicole Scherzinger. I believe she was from the Pussycat Dolls. I believe she was in the Pussycat Dolls. I'm surprised they didn't sign her instead of Olivia, but obviously this comes a few years after the Curtis album. No. Oh, wow. You're catching a little timeout for that one, bro. Yeah, numero uno. Thanks, bro. Yeah, the Curtis album was really all over the place, man. I really think he should have saved this album for after Before I Self Destruct. Because if you don't remember, 50 actually told us he was going to drop Before I Self Destruct before Curtis, you know, and then he just flipped it mid album. So then he had All of Me with Mary J. Blige. I'll give you all of me. Yeah, I love that song, right? But what you gonna give me back? Yeah, that song was dope. Curtis 187, I was not feeling. They tried really too hard. And damn, another Havoc beat on 50 Cent. 50 on Havoc beats just really wasn't that great, you guys. Because that Fully Loaded Clip, I could have sworn, yeah, I didn't like Fully Loaded Clip either. I did not like Fully Loaded Clip, and I did not like Curtis 187. But hell yeah, shout out to the birthday boy, Tony Yayo, because he featured on Touch the Sky. Touch the Sky was a pretty good joint. You know what I mean? It was all right. Apex says he was beefing with Jimmy Iovine at that time. Apex, you're going to come on the channel to talk about I Get Money, bro? Hit me on the DM on Instagram, bro. I would love to have you on the channel, man. Chemo Savvy, Report Card Radio. Let's get it. Salute, Mikey T. Appreciate y'all for tuning in today. There was a report about 50 Cent getting robbed. You know, the Shade Room was trying to get to the bottom of it. I don't blame them. You know what I mean? I don't blame them as a brand for trying to get to the bottom of the situation. That's what any media outlet would do. You know what I mean? As I said, if 50 was at a different part of his career, he would more than likely go to the Shade Room and address it with them for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to see. But 50's just at a different point in his career where he can address things by a simple comment. A simple comment, which he made actually denying all the accusations. Hell yeah, you on that cookies tonight? You on that cookies tonight? Hell yeah, that's what's popping, bro. I do appreciate everybody tapping in. I know we're going a little bit early. But I wanted to jump on this real quick, come and speak on it. all these accusations. You know what I mean? All these accusations about 50. You know, every time there's an accusation about the G Unit general, people are going to swarm around it. You know what I'm saying? But I think people forget 50 was a Golden Gloves. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I think people forget that 50 Cent is still very active in the industry, meaning he's worth something. You know what I mean? Meaning 50 Cent doesn't have time to deal with his problems like that. He has people around him who are going to swat away the flies. 50 Cent shouldn't have to deal with some shit like that. I mean, I saw one video. It was a little bit strange. I saw this one video where 50 seemed to be on a date and this one guy just came up to him and some melee happened. I could have sworn somebody thrown a chair at somebody and I'm like, how the hell is that happening to Big Fifth? You know what I mean? How the hell is that happening to Fifth, man? Why doesn't he? I understand you're on a date and all that. You know what I mean? Maybe he was just trying to be low key and he didn't want no security on the date and shit like that. Maybe they were like at a low key spot. Because, like I said, every time 50 Cent goes out, there's going to be paparazzi around taking pictures. There's going to be the TMZ guys coming up to him, asking him, yo, 50, 50, I heard about the guys talking about you saying that you got robbed 50. Did they try to take the new 50 Cent chain? Because everybody knows 50's got the hottest new chain in the game. You know what I mean? I want to say 50's new chain is probably better than those game chains. It's probably better than the new game chains. But I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to ask y'all in the poll. I got another poll question for you guys. I got another poll question for you guys. What chain is better? I want to know which 50 Cent chain is better. I want to know which chain was better, you guys. Was it the classic G Unit spinner or is it the new 50 Cent diamond chain that he wore at the Super Bowl? Highly Qualified says it's like Kid just disappeared. Well, Kid stepped away from G Unit. We actually did an interview speaking on it. Maybe I should do a watch along on a couple of those Kid interviews. Some of my best, man. Tejan said he had Ja Rule's chain at the time. That was all the way back though to the Guess Who's Back album, if I'm not mistaken, bro. I asked y'all, I want to know in the chat which chain is better. Is it the new 50 Cent diamond chain or is the classic G Unit spinner chain? I want to know, what do y'all think? Some people are saying the spinner. Oh shit, really, bro? You had a fake G Unit spinner back in the day? That's lit, man. I'm still waiting on my Death Row chain. Hopefully Snoop Dogg will hook that up. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm getting down with Death Row, baby. Death Row. Want to get down with Death Row. How's my want to get down with Death Row voice, you guys? Do you think they would mess with that? I'm about to roll something up, man. Appreciate everybody for. Oh shit, messed up the light for sure. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Perfect. Highly Qualified says the MMG vote should have been 5% to 95%. Yeah, what was the results on that? Let me see. It was 23% to 76%. Hey man, you can't deny the fact that G Unit actually was around when units were really selling. You know what I mean? When units were actually selling like in the hundreds of thousands is when G Unit was in their prime. So you really can't take that away from them, man. You can't take away the era that they were in compared to MMG. You know what I mean? We saw the Game, who, when he released his album, the documentary, that's done double and more of Meek Mill's highest successful album. You know what I'm saying? Meek Mill has moved a $250,000 in a week. He moved $250,000 in a week, and those are amazing sales when you can move a quarter million items in a week. But look at what the game did. The game moved almost 600,000 units in a week. The game, 50 Cent, he did 4 times what Meek Mill did. He did 4 times plus another half. But I want everybody to vote in the chat right now. Which was the better chain? Which chain would you have rather been given? I mean, shit. Was it the 50 Cent Classic Diamond chain, or was it the G Unit spinner? I might have to say the new 50 Cent Diamond chain. It might be more expensive. It might actually be more expensive than it actually might be more expensive than the classic G Unit chain for sure. I mean, if you just look at what it's made out of, I mean, like, come on, it's straight up diamonds. Which chain would you rather have? Which chain would you rather rock? Which one do you think looks better on, 50? You know what I mean? Which one do you think looks cooler? You know what I mean? I know a lot of people back in the day, when they saw 50 with that G Unit spinner chain, they were just like, holy shit, that is so new and innovative to the game. He just flipped the script. You know what I mean? 50 just flipped the script. Maybach. Yeah, Death Row, one of the biggest labels in the game, man. You know what I mean? And look at the amount of records that they put out. Their run really went pretty crazy all the way up until they signed with Priority. You know what I mean? If you really look back to the history after they left Interscope, they signed to Priority. They still remained with Interscope for the Tupac releases until Death Row was fully removed and it went straight up to Amaru. You know what I mean? I'm about to roll something up, though. One of my guys in my chat told me about the Wedding Crasher the other day. I'm about to grab some Wedding Crasher actually tonight. Peasy, am I going wrong getting the Wedding Crasher, bro? Tajon says, hater to love it. Song by 50 Cent in the game. Yeah. Tajon says, the G Unit spinner. Mr. Miami says, Mr. Miami was popping, bro. I got love for the 305. I'm just waiting to get that call, man. When they say, hey, Mikey T, come back to Miami, I'm going to go. But I'm just chilling until then, man, because it's good up here on the East Coast. I ain't going to lie. Because I'm right in between all the Meccas. Okay, the PRE, the paper route chain, the MMG chain. Yep. But vote in the chat, man. Vote in the poll right now if you haven't voted. Which chain do y'all like better that 50's rocking right now? You guys like the classic G Unit chain, the classic G Unit spinner? You know what I mean? The joint that pretty much everybody loved back in the day. We saw Young Buck wear it. Back in the day, you guys. We actually heard that it got taken and they had to get it back. You know what I mean? We heard a lot of shit about the G Unit chain, man. But I think I'm going to have to go with, believe it or not, I'm probably going to have to go, me personally, I'm probably going to say it's the new 50 Cent chain that I'm going to rock with. I'm probably going to rock with the new 50 Cent chain. Oh, shit. 75K is what the G Unit spinner cost, Chemo? 75K on the G Unit spinner. Let me get my Dutch. $75K on the G Unit spinner. That ain't a lot. That ain't a lot. So I'd have to say that if that's all diamond, I'd have to say if it's all diamond, the new 50 Cent chain is probably more expensive, obviously, if it's all diamond and shit. Hell yeah, man. Definitely appreciate everybody voting in the poll. Damn, the classic G Unit spinner is up to 63%. Vote in the poll. Which is your favorite of the chains, man? What are you rocking with? You rocking with the G Unit spinner? You guys rocking with that G Unit spinner, or you rocking with the new joint that he wore? That new joint that he wore on the new joint that he wore at the Super Bowl. That shit was shiny as hell. Yep. Spider Loke was with G Unit back in the day. Yep. He was going to drop the album, The West Kept Secret. You know, he had actually said 50 said the album was complete. They were about to put it out. They wanted to put it out in stores. I remember when they actually did the prequel to The West Kept Secret. You know what I mean? It got me a little bit happy when I heard about the West Kept Secret prequel, the prequel to the West Kept Secret, because I was like, all right, they're at least starting to do something with Spider-Loke to get the wheels moving on his project, you know, because I knew 50, you know, having that influence from the West Coast, I'm like, damn, 50 can make some good music with some West Coast artists. Let's see what he could do with Spider-Loke. You know what I mean? Oh shit. Oh, GB says that's what I was saying. 50 said it was fake. Well, why is 50 continuing to wear the chain then, bro? 50 has been wearing that chain like all the time. The spinner, wow, right here, Apex says the spinner was so impactful. Everybody vote in the poll if you agree with this. The spinner was so impactful. John Cena went out and made the WWE Championship belt a spinner belt. Wow. That is crazy, Apex, and more than likely accurate. The fact that John Cena went and turned the WWE Championship belt into a spinner belt could have been directly related to the fact that 50 Cent actually did the spinner G Unit chain. But also, I mean, shit, if you look to recent news developments, John Cena has admitted to the fact that John Cena has admitted to the fact that he actually, you know, got the whole "you can't see me" from watching Tony Yayo. So that's not really that hard to believe that he took something else from what 50 and G Unit was doing. You know, very interesting, man, to see that how impactful 50 Cent was on even somebody like John Cena, you know, who's obviously right now known as one of the biggest wrestlers since a Hulk Hogan. Also, now he's getting into movies to the point where he's just a few steps below The Rock. In all honesty, you guys, John Cena's making his way to the point where he's being a very well respected actor. Him and Batista are actually battling out for that next spot because you know The Rock just has that shit locked in. The Rock is the biggest, you know, like the way that The Rock did his shit back in the day. It was always like he was doing an SNL sketch in WWE programming, anyways. Apex says that his whole gimmick is from G Unit. So hilarious. I mean, I don't think that I'm well, actually, yeah, just in general, because nobody in G Unit was freestyling, right? You know what I mean? I'm not too sure what Mosiant is, GB. Major salute to my brother James Brown, Buffalo on the tap in. Sure you heard all that fugazi ass news. Well, 50 shut it down, so you didn't really get a chance to hear nothing more. You know what I mean? 50 actually addressed the shit before it could start to spread like wildfire, before anybody could start to lie about it. You know, that's what we can appreciate 50 Cent for. You know, the fact that he has like what is it, 25 million followers on the gram. If 50 hears some news about himself that's bullshit, he's going to address it. Oh no shit. I saw Jake One was actually on that album with you. Jake One actually produced all of me. Did you ever get a chance to meet Jake One, Apex? Guy Vaughn was popping. So James Brown, Tony Yayo had his birthday party. I'm not sure. GB, can you tell me the exact date of Yayo's birthday? But they had a party for him at this club called Atlantis. And then rumors started to fly apparently that 50 Cent may have been robbed. So the Shade Room, being one of the, most up-to-date brands of hip hop news, started reaching out. They reached out to different people associated with that night, at the club. So 50 Cent posted a message that the Shade Room sent out. The Shade Room sent, "Hi, we're hearing that 50 Cent got robbed last night after attending the Atlantis. Can you confirm if that's true?" And then they also sent another message saying, "We will keep you as an anonymous source." So they were digging to see what happened to 50. 50 Cent caught wind of this and actually posted about it. 50 Cent posted about it, and he didn't have the best things to say. You know what I mean? 50 didn't have the nicest things to say. 50 was like, "The Shade Room must have had a slow news day. They must have had a slow news day today making up shit. You would have heard somebody got man down out there, fool. I'm tapping in, and I even got your little messages." You know what I'm saying? Even got your little messages. Okay, fifth. Taking a little bit farther. I mean, slow news day. I kind of went over that a little bit. Any 50 Cent news is going to contend with even the best hip hop news dropping that day. So if somebody decides to report about 50 Cent, it's not necessarily because it was a slow news day. It's just because some information about 50 Cent started popping up, man. So, fifth, please, we don't need to discredit bloggers just because they're talking about you and calling it a slow news day. You know what I mean? Like they were just they weren't necessarily reaching, they were looking for a story. They were looking for a story to see if some of the information that they heard was accurate. But you know what? They got put in blast for it. Is it bad that they got put on blast for it? I mean, shit. 50 Cent mentioned their product. 50 Cent mentioned their brand. You know what I mean? You pretty much just got a little bit of a free promo right there at the end of the day. How much free promo? I don't really know. Are they going to lose 50,000 followers? Are they going to gain 150,000 followers? I don't really know. Are they going to lose 50,000 followers but also make $100,000 extra off of getting mentioned by 50? I don't know how it's all going to work out for them, man. But I don't think anything too detrimental to their brand is going to happen from 50 Cent just calling them out. The Shade Room is known for this type of shit. People know that the Shade Room is looking for the most interesting stories. When Gilly the Kid would not interview 6ix9ine, the Shade Room did. You know what I mean? And they did millions of views. You know what I'm saying? It's when you do things to grow your brand, you know what I'm saying? You can't be afraid of the old saying. Bad publicity, good publicity, it's all publicity. Uh yo 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 yo. What's popping? Appreciate y'all for tapping in. My bad, I was just going on a monologue. Highly Qualified said 50 made one of the best albums of all the time from start to finish. Get Rich or Die Trying, top 5 of all time. Lex, appreciate you, bro. I'm just rolling something up right now. I just wanted to go over this news. 50 pretty much debunked the rumors before they could even start churning. You know what I mean? It's dope that 50 can shut that shit down right away, before any dumbass rumors are out there about him, because I don't think anybody would even believe that shit in the first place without video evidence of 50 Cent actually getting pressed. And it doesn't seem to me like we're really ever going to see that. You know what I mean? Doesn't really seem to me like we're ever going to see that, to be 100% honest with you guys, for reasons that I actually mentioned earlier. You know what I mean? For reasons that I mentioned earlier. Tejan says, G Unit is better than Murder Inc. Well, we were actually just talking about G Unit and MMG. Now, going into G Unit and Murder Inc., that's a whole nother story, bro. That's really a whole nother story in reality, comparing those two groups, but in reality, if you look at it, Murder Inc. actually only had two major selling artists. They had Ja Rule and they had Ashanti. Now, when it came to Lloyd, we really didn't get to see too much of what Lloyd could do. Lloyd actually started taking off a little bit more, I think, after Murder Inc. had a downward spiral. Kind of when Lloyd started doing the records with Lil Wayne is when he really started taking off, in all honesty. But then you look at Murder Inc., it's pretty much the Ja Rule albums, which they successfully released every year, and then they got into a stream of Ashanti albums. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna bring up that information right now to see, how Ashanti's albums released in relation to the year to year basis. I think that's where Irv beat 50 uh undeniably in releasing an album every year. So Ashanti dropped the Ashanti album in 2002. So wow, that's really early. That's before 50 Cent ever got his own release. Ashanti dropped Chapter 3 the same year that 50 dropped his first album, 2003. She even followed it up with Ashanti's Christmas in 2003. So she had two albums in 2003. Let's see, what was the singles here? We got Rock With You, released May 19th. Holy shit, you guys. So this is like legitimately right after 50 Cent's album. Ashanti comes with the Murder Inc. album. Legitimately. So Murder Inc., like legitimately right after 50's record release, they had a hit album out. Now, this Christmas album, come on, how much did you really move with this Christmas album? I don't know who the hell bought this Christmas album or streamed it, probably besides my guy Iceberg. My boy Iceberg got a thing for Ashanti though, and all he wants for Christmas is Ashanti, right, Iceberg? Iceberg said, "I voted for the G Unit spinner just because the effort it takes to make it as a jeweler. Whoever said those stones was Moissanite was capping." Oh, yo, 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 Michael R. I appreciate you for tapping in, man. Major love to everybody tapping in. Yeah, Tony Yayo should actually start a podcast with me, man. I think I'd be a great co-host for Tony Yayo. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely do it too. I would definitely lock in with Tony Yayo for a podcast. So yeah, I can't get any sales on this. Hold on. The album debuted and it peaked at number 160 on the Billboard 200. Wow, are you kidding me? And she had a song, just so you know, Iceberg, if you wanted to look it up. It's called Hey Santa. Very, very odd. So they dropped that just so they can go to number 43 on the top hip hop and R&B list. Doesn't really make sense to me. Then she waits, or she comes out the next year, Concrete Rose. December 2014. Concrete Rose, Only You. What does this sell first week? Let's see if I can get some sales on Ashanti's first week. Wow. Wow. 254,000 units sold. Put that in comparison. Meek Mill, that's Meek Mill's highest album sales ever. Meek Mill's highest album sales ever. All right, I'll add it to the list, you guys. I will add it to the list. I'm going to add Murder Inc. to the list just for you guys, man. Since people want me to add it in. But also maybe we should hold on one second. I know what we're going to do here. Oh, my bad. I messed it up. That was actually I'm Glad that Iceberg liked. He liked the I'm Glad record by J Lo. Oh, shit. The party was in Atlantis in New York. It was in New York. The party was in New York, you guys, and 50 definitely was good. 50 was definitely good. But yeah, we already know that. 50 already said that, man. But thanks for confirming the party was in New York. I probably could have just Google searched that, but I appreciate you, man. So Ashanti then came out with the declaration 4 years later. Makes absolutely no sense. Who the hell would wait? Who in their right mind would wait? Who in their right, well, who in their right mind would wait 4 years after you just sold 250,000 albums in a week? And let's see what it did to her. And then when she waited 4 years to sell an album, she came out and she sold 86,000 copies first week. Absolutely ridiculous. Whoever came up with that marketing plan, my God, what a bad idea. Why would you make Ashanti wait that long? But if you look, you can see that the ink had relocated to Universal Motown at that point. The ink relocated from Island Def Jam to Universal Motown. So they obviously used Ashanti as a selling tactic. And man, wow. Body on Me, Good Good, The Way That I Love You, all singles that I really don't remember. I really just can't believe, bro. I really just can't believe that I really just can't believe that they dropped the ball on Ashanti like this, you guys. Like, I'm absolutely stunned that they would allow Ashanti's situation to be fumbled like that, going from selling 250,000 copies in a week to actually only selling 86,000 copies. Like, that's some straight up Nelly shit. The same thing happened to Ashanti that happened to Nelly. And it's like they really just waited too long. But how about that, you guys? So Ashanti released albums 2002, 2003, 2004, and that was really it. And that was really it. But Irv Gotti actually got that motion together where he could release an album every single year. 50's delivery has been different. 50's delivery was different. 50 came with albums every 2 years. Veni Vidi Vici dropped in 99. Rule 336 dropped in 2000. Pain is Love dropped in 2001. The Last Temptation dropped in 2002. And wow, that was really the end of Ja Rule, The Last Temptation, to be 100% honest with you guys. So to think about that, Ashanti, her first album was really taken off in 2002. And it actually had first week sales of 503,000 units. So as Ja Rule's last, that album, as it flopped, kind of flopped, The Last Temptation, as that album went down as not a big seller, Ashanti came out with her biggest album. Ooh, Rockefeller, baby. Yeah, there was a reason I didn't put Death Row up there, bro, because if I was gonna put up a label like Death Row, I would put up labels like I would put up Bad Boy, I would put up Def Jam, you know what I mean? I would put up labels like that as well if I was gonna put up Death Row. You know what I mean? They're I almost put Death Row with the really big labels. Almost, almost, because the way that they floundered out at the end and, just started releasing all of those greatest hits compilations, I really do feel like it kind of took away from their success just a little bit, or like their memory in the game a little bit. Just to be honest with you, I feel like the way Suge Knight did that, doing all of those damn compilations, I really feel like it took away from some of the credibility that Death Row had. Tejan says Rockefeller and G Unit is the best labels. But hold on. So James, did I read 50's quote out, right? Yes, I read 50's quote out. I caught you up, James, right? Just want to make sure everybody's caught up. Want to make sure everybody's in tune with what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Want to make sure everybody's situated with the live tonight. I'm gonna ask Anybody have any last questions? Does anybody have any last questions they want to ask? I'm bringing it to all y'all. If anybody has any last questions they want to ask. What are you talking about, Iceberg? Please don't tell me there was a volume 7 on there, bro. I'm pretty sure there was only 2, right? Or was there 3? Please don't tell me there was 3, man. Let me see. What did my man Mars say? Mars said Murder Inc. was just a front. Nevertheless, they did have wasted talent. Nah, bro. Murder Inc. was obviously full of it was obviously a record label. Irv Gotti went from a DJ, you know what I mean? Irv Gotti went from being a DJ to actually, moving with artists and proving to executives that he knew what was needed in the game. You know what I mean? The way that he worked with Mike Geronimo. Oh shit. GB, can you tell Yes that Mikey T, the movie star, wants to do an interview with him? He said, let Yes know that Mikey T, the movie star, would like to do an interview with him. And you can also tell him that Tony Yayo said that I do good interviews. Mr. Miami says Grand Hustle Records. T.I. was a really good, an extremely good solo artist. He just didn't have the same success when it came to the Grand Hustle Records. They brought over Young LA. He had Ain't I. They brought over Young Dro. He had Shoulder Lean and a couple others. And he had the Pimp Squad Click that didn't really go too far. He signed BG. They didn't end up releasing the Hollywood album. You know what I mean? But T.I. is a very good solo artist. I just don't think his label aspiration, Iggy Azalea, you know what I'm saying? A couple different things didn't go too well for Grand Hustle. Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti went to being investigated by the feds. That's what I meant when Irv rapped. Nobody put out music. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that Irv had rapping that ultimately didn't put out their own albums, but Irv did a few different compilation projects, Murder Inc. compilation projects that he actually featured all the guys on. Cadillac Ta and Black Child all got features on Ja Rule's album as well. They were featured on the album quite a bit. So that's something you can't take away from them as well. Grand Hustle, T.I.'s label. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to come on here tonight and talk about all the shit with 50, you guys. You know what I mean? All the shit with 50 going on. 50 debunk the rumors. You can always count on 50 to go on and tell you when a rumor is fake. Really appreciate that. Let me take a look at the poll. If anybody hasn't voted in the poll, you can vote now. G Unit is leading. Wow. G Unit and Rockefeller tied at 48%. So vote in the poll now, you guys. I want everybody to vote in the poll now because it's legitimately a tie in the poll. It is legitimately a tie in the poll. So the next vote is going to crown a winner. Rock Nation, baby. Yup, G Unit and Rockefeller, man. People are rocking with it. G Unit and Rockefeller. Maybe I'll just leave it at a tie. So unless anybody votes in the next 1 minute, I'm going to give y'all 1 minute to vote. And we just crossed over 1,000 views in a short 90 minutes, you guys. I appreciate everybody tapping into these videos, man. I wanted to come on and give y'all a short podcast today. The news broke, 50 debunked it. Last night we talked a little bit about the Ross correctional officer shit. I didn't bring up how Ross actually dissed G Unit and 50 a little bit more. Wanted to touch on it a bit, but also 50 debunking the rumors. I had to come on here and speak about that shit, man. Apex, hit me on the DM. 36 Mafia. Yeah, great group. 36 Mafia, great group. Could have been a great label as well. Hypnotized Minds, actually. Let me stop myself. Yeah. But yo, I appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. Listen, I want y'all to follow me on the gram. Everybody who follows me based on this video, I'm going to follow you guys back. Everybody that follows me on Instagram based on this video, I'm going to follow you guys back. It looks like Rockefeller is taking the poll. I'm going to end it in just 30 seconds, you guys. I appreciate y'all for voting in all three of the polls tonight. We did a poll on the G Unit chain versus the spinner chain versus the new 50 Cent chain. Had a great show today, man. I'm glad y'all tapped in and joined me. Appreciate all the audience in here. So that's why I said everybody who follows me on Instagram based on this video, I am going to follow you guys back immediately. Looks like Rockefeller took the poll, G Unit in second, MMG and Murder Inc. tied for third. That's what's up, man. You already know Big Mike. You already know, man. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Everybody enjoy your day and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss my live video.